Hello bookaholics, welcome to my channel. My name is Angela, your own bookaholic brown nim. If this is your first time here, let me tell you what we do here. We talk about books and all things books. So if you are a bookaholic like me, please do not hesitate from subscribing to my channel, and also please like and share this video so that I can reach more and more bookaholics like you and me. Coming to today's video, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about not fiction. I'm going to talk about top 10 favorite non-fiction books of mine currently, and these are books that have influenced me immensely, tremendously, and some of them even really shape the way I think. I read a lot of non-fiction books, as you can see here on my shelf here above. On that shelf there are several shelves dedicated only to non-fiction books, and today I was rummaging through one of my cupboards for searching for something, and I realized that I have a whole stash of books that were kept inside the cupboard during the renovation time, and I had totally forgotten about them, and today I discovered them. And in that stash there are gems like Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Jawaharlal Nehru's The Discovery of India and Khalil Gibran's complete works and all those kind of books. I have no idea how I completely forgot about them. Because of that, I discovered some of the great non-fiction books that I really love. So that's when I decided maybe I should do a video about top 10 favorite non-fiction books of mine. So here I am with that video. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first non-fiction book that I want to show you is a science related book. Now I have to give you a fair warning because I love reading science. I love to be updated about advances in science. I am a science student. I had taken physics, chemistry and maths during my pre-graduation days, and I have an engineering degree. So I absolutely love science and love reading things related to science. So most of the books in today's bunch might be science related, but don't be put off by that declaration. Even though they are science books, they are interesting. I can promise you, you will not regret reading any of them because they are my favorite books. So the first book in the list that I want to talk about today is a book that has not just influenced me, but has influenced a generation of scientists, to pick up science as their subject and pursue science. And I am talking about none other than Carl Sagan, and the book is Cosmos. So Carl Sagan is one of the most important scientific influencer and thinker that everybody look up to. He was a great scientist and also a great science communicator, and Cosmos is one of his most popular book. This book actually tells this fascinating story of our cosmic evolution, and how science and civilization has progressed hand in hand, the forces and all the individuals who are responsible for where we are now with the progress in modern science. So it's a quite interesting and relevant and important book for all of you to read. While I was reading it, I just couldn't read anything else. It is he basically, Carl Sagan is a wonderful storyteller, and that's where his success as a science communicator lies. He can tell the stories of science in such a marvelous and fascinating and captivating way that you won't get bored, and that's what made him popular as such. So please pick it up. If you want to read one non-fiction book this year, please make it this one, Cosmos by Carl Sagan. And I have to tell you, the copy that I have is kind of a paperback one, but I know that there are well illustrated, colorful editions of Cosmos available. So if you want that, please pick them up instead of this wholly textual edition. So that is Cosmos by Carl Sagan. Book that I want to recommend to you is a book by Steven Pinker, and the book is called The Language Instinct: How the Mind Creates Language. So this is a very fantastic book about, Steven Pinker trying to explain to you, or rather trying to establish the fact that language is innate to human beings, that we are born with language, and then we learn the rules and the regulations while learning the language, but the concept of language is somehow coded into our brains as part of our evolutionary journey. So language is innate to human beings is what Steven Pinker is saying in this book. Essentially, he asks, how do babies learn to speak? Why are there so many languages? Do we think in our mother tongue? Who decides what's correct English? How did language evolve? In this landmark book, Pinker explains the mysteries of language within a coherent theory, that is, that language is an adaptation for communication. Since we are here on BookTube, talking about books and fiction, non-fiction, language, and things like that, I thought that this was a relevant book for all of us as book lovers and book readers to read. So this is my second recommendation, Steven Pinker's The Language Instinct. Next up is a book that has had immense influence on me in the way that I think about various belief systems around the world. This is a book written by a psychologist and science historian Michael Shermer. This is a book called The Believing Brain: From Spiritual Faiths to Political Convictions, How We Construct Beliefs and Reinforce Them as Truths. The core of the book is based on 30 years of research that Michael Shermer has conducted. He collected information and made it into this book, and the core of the book, basically it talks about the fact that humans basically look for and scans for patterns around himself all the time and try to bring meaning into these patterns when there necessarily does not exist any such patterns, and from those patterns he tries to construct beliefs. From these patterns are the root for most of the belief system that exists currently, and once these beliefs are formed, from there we are in the lookout for evidences or confirmatory evidences to establish and reinforce these beliefs. So this is a beautiful analysis of how our brain works. So he uses politics, science, conspiracy theories, and even the supernatural to show us that science is really essential in judging how we see our beliefs and what we believe. So this is a brilliant book based on science and scientific research. So if you want to have a nice, great science read, then I would definitely recommend this, The Believing Brain by Michael Shermer. Also, do check out his podcast. He has a YouTube channel where he shares his podcast. So he has amazing guests who come in and share their ideas, their books with Michael Shermer. Brilliant podcast. It is one of my favorite podcasts. Fourth book that I want to recommend to you is slightly different from the previous books in this list. This is a book by Miss Arundhati Roy. She won the Booker Prize in 1997 for her book The God of Small Things. What I like about her is her non-fiction writings. The book that I'm going to recommend to you is the second collection of her essays, and this is called An Ordinary Person's Guide to the Empire. There are topics varying from the America's war on terror to the growing threat of corporate power, caste and communal politics in India, and the perverse machinery of an increasingly corporatized mass media. So mostly when you read a non-fiction book or some mostly political and social commentaries, in the form of essays, you might find them quite dry and boring. What sets apart Arundhati Roy's writing is the way she handles language. It is beautiful. She is extremely poetic when it comes to even writing her non-fiction essays. Even if you do not agree with Roy's politics and her worldview and her ideologies, you can still read her books just to enjoy her writing. So that was book number 4, which is An Ordinary Person's Guide to Empire by Miss Arundhati Roy. Next book in the list is also quite important to me. It was quite eye-opening for me because I discovered many facts that I was previously not aware of, and that is the book by Matt Ridley called Genome. I hope you can see the cover. Yeah. The Autobiography of a Species in 23 Chapters. So basically what the book is about is what the title says. It is all about human genome. But do not worry if you do not know anything about genes, chromosomes, genetics in general. In the preface of this book, Matt Ridley gives you a brief about what the book is about, and also in the second part, he explains the basics so that you're not going into the book without any knowledge about the basics of genetics. So what you need to know, the basics are available in the preface of this book, and this book is divided into 23 chapters, each standing for each pair of chromosomes that humans have. For each of those chromosomes, he selects one newly discovered genes which is related to one particular characteristics, and then he takes us through a great journey from which starts at the dawn of human history and its ancestors towards where we are now at the brink of future medicine. I highly recommend this book. There's a book which is called The Anti-God's Own Country by A.V. Shaktidharan. It's quite a very small book, just 160 pages. This book basically is looking into the history of gods in India, and mostly the gods currently that are worshipped are of Aryan origin, or the existing gods have been borrowed into the tradition of the Brahmanical discourse and have been whitewashed, and that's what this book is all about. So there are so many gods down in South India, especially, that you see that you would never see mentioned in the northern part of the country, and he lays out explanation of why that is so. So there are gods like Muttappan or Suyodhana or several mother goddesses of the south who do not see a mention in any of the Vedas for that matter, and they in the later writings they are referred to as maybe avatars or different versions of some Brahmanical gods. So basically this book looks into a contrarian and subversive aspect in the way our myths are being used and being retold. I would use the past tense, not being used and retold in the past. So I would think this would be a book for Indians, especially who are interested in this topic. Maybe this is not applicable for all of you, especially to non-Indians who are not familiar with the social, political, and religious connotations that might be referred to in this book. So, yeah, that's my 6th recommendation. The 7th book that I want to recommend to you is a very popular book, which is Caste Matters by Suraj Yengre. As the title suggests, it is all about the caste system in India, and this book could be read in conjunction with the most popular book, Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. Let me get that book for you. I gotta find it. I had to do a little bit of circus there, but I got my hands on the book that I was referring to. This is Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. So if you can, do read the book in conjunction with each other, especially if you're a non-Indian. So if you read this book, then it will be much easier for you to understand this book by Suraj Yengre. So guys, check it out. Sometimes it's good to explore topics outside of your normal comfort zone. So this could be one for you guys, especially if you're non-Indian. Just check it out. If you want this one book that talks about issues in some other country and that you want to be aware of it, please check it out. The last 3 books are my favorite among this whole bunch of 10 books that I'm sharing with you today. And number 7 is a book by Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm sure all of you know him from his Cosmos series, or in general because he is currently one of the most famous scientists and science communicator out there, and he is quite popular. So this is his book called Origins, 14 billion years of cosmic evolution, and he co-wrote this with Donald Goldsmith. It is a brilliant book. I mean, I have made notes, and I don't know if you can see sticky notes, and I have studied this book so much. There are nice pictures in there. I'm just trying to sell it, guys. And see it? So this is a brilliant book. I just love it, and I can reread how many ever times I want. So that was book number 7 by Neil deGrasse Tyson. So I'm not explaining much about this book because it is what it tells. It's just basically talking about the universe's evolution and trying to explain the Big Bang Theory, and how the elements were formed and how the Earth was formed and things like that. So beautiful astrophysics book you can read, written in very simple layman language. Penultimate book in this list is The Big Bang by Simon Singh. This is, oh my god, you can see how worn out this book is. It's all yellowish. All my non-fiction books are, kind of manhandled because I write on them, and I do all kind of stuff on them because I want to learn. And when I'm taking notes, if I don't have my sticky notepad with me, then I just write it on the book. So that's what I do with my non-fiction. I abuse them as much as I can. Oh my god, this is one of my favorite science books ever. It is like reading a story, and you know how much I love reading stories. So the book is so, what do you call that, it feels novelized, that's what it feels to me. So chapter 1 is called In the Beginning. So from mythology to cosmology, from prehistory to 1900, how science developed over this period of time. Then you have the Einstein's theory of gravity, and then you have how observation of the universe implied a cosmic expansion, and so and so. So basically this talks about the history of physics as such, but it's not one bit boring, and that's what I like about this book. So, and it is a gift, to write, to talk about hard sciences, and not make people fall asleep. Right? So that's a great talent, and Simon Singh surely has got that talent. So read this book, guys. I cannot stop gushing about this book. This is Big Bang by Simon Singh. Last but definitely not the least, the book that I have next is Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion. This book changed my life. This book is the cornerstone. This book is the beginning of my journey into rationalism and skepticism, and I have immense respect towards Professor Richard Dawkins. He is an amazing influence in my life, and apart from that, he is such a beautiful writer. He is a master of the English language. He is, he is often also criticized for using all these fancy words and, using complicated sentences. But oh my god, I just love his writing. I don't know if you can see, you have all his books here. These two are Richard Dawkins' books. These 3 are Richard Dawkins' books, and I have some more on the other side as well. So I have all of Richard Dawkins' books with me, so I'm a huge fan. And you can see in this book I have made so many notes. I think you can't see, but I'll try to show you. There are so many sticky notes and scribblings and underlining and highlighting and all kind of things you can see in this book of mine. So this is basically a book that changed my life. So if you are a skeptic or a rationalist, or are interested in generally in topics like this. So this is a highly recommended book. This book has changed many people's life, so do check it out. Those were my top 10 non-fiction recommendations, because those are my favorite as well. So if you have read any of them, please let me know what you think of them. If you haven't, maybe you should check one of them out at least. Mostly my viewers are fantasy and science fiction fans. So sometimes, when you want to clear your palate with a little bit of non-fiction adventure, then one of these books could be your choice. So yeah, check them out, guys, and let me know what you think about it. That was today's video. Thanks for watching. This is Angela signing off. Until next time. Bye bye.